Hi, welcome to CineMunn Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Vince Munn, joined again with Time Metropolis.
Always good to be here.
We got a few little topics to cover tonight for the show, so let's just jump right into it. Firstly, the new Avengers Age of Ultron trailer was released the other night during a football game. I don't know what game because I don't watch college sports. But I do watch comic book films, and this trailer is awesome. While I will say it's not my favorite of the two that have been released so far, I actually do prefer the first trailer if I had to pick between one or the other. This one shows you a little more of Ultron, you get a lot more of the Hulkbuster armor, a little more dialogue, and it really seems to be pushing in a direction of this is all Iron Man or Tony Stark's fault. The effects look awesome, you get to see more of Ultron's army, of his bots running around with him. The one thing I really noticed that kind of stuck out to me was this film, I think, is going to take place a lot more in other countries than it will here. Like, the Avengers obviously took place in New York, but I think this is going to take place all over. It looks like maybe in Europe, in Africa, maybe in Russia, maybe in parts of China even. So it really feels much more international. We're going to take what are essentially kind of American heroes and put them abroad and see how they do in other parts of the world. And that I think is really cool. Obviously, they will have parts in New York, since they will be in Avengers Tower with the creation of Ultron and whatnot. But other than that, I think it's going to go a lot more outside of our comfort zone as an audience, and probably outside of the comfort zone of the Avengers. So I think that'll be really cool. Tommy, what are your thoughts on the new trailer for Avengers Age of Ultron?
The new trailer kind of confirms what I've already anticipated about the film itself, just kind of what the direction they're going in. I mean, of course, Marvel's lineup of the future movies, I mean, you talk about Captain America, Civil War, and things like that. Also, if you're, like Vince was mentioning, like, you look at Tony Stark and it's like the movie's trying to show, or the trailers are trying to get that perspective, is like, this is his fault. And you see scenes with, like, the Hulk fighting Iron Man in his Hulkbuster armor. I mean, that I'm definitely looking forward to. And it just, other things, you see, like Scarlet Witch. I get to
see a little more of her doing her thing, whatever that was.
Doing her thing. Shoots laser beams out of her hand. Quicksilver. Have you seen?
Yeah, I saw nothing of him in there.
That's why I'm kind of wondering what he's all about.
Like, maybe they actually had him in there, and because he's moving so fast we didn't see him. But I really don't recall seeing him at all. We just watched it before we started recording. Right. So it's not like we're thinking 2 days from when it first premiered. We literally just watched it not 5 minutes ago. And yeah, I don't recall seeing him in there at all.
Even in the first
in the first trailer? Yes, in the first trailer he is. But in this last trailer, I don't recall seeing him.
But I think in the first trailer it's just like he's posing like he's on a freaking magazine or something.
There is one shot of him like it looked like it was like on a train or something with Captain America. It's slowed down. You kind of see him go, and you see the wake he leaves behind him around the bots, I believe. So he's there. He's relevant, and even in the streets when Iron Man is fighting the Hulk in the Hulkbuster armor, he's there as well. So, but I just don't recall seeing him in this trailer. So I don't know if they're just trying to save him to show him off again for a final piece, or what they're planning with that. So it doesn't make me nervous or anything. I'm not thinking they're going to 86 a character. I think they're fairly set, and we're going to show you this, and we don't care if you like it or not, because we're Marvel.
Yeah.
You saw Guardians of the Galaxy, so you're going to see this anyways.
You're going to see this anyways. I mean, there's really, you take a look at Marvel Studios, what the movies they're coming out with, and there's really no reason to be disappointed or kind of have that bit
doubt.
Of doubt, exactly. And, I mean, I'm thrilled with their lineup. I mean, it actually gives me a game plan of how I'm going to, attack the theaters this coming 4 years. What was it? 4-year projection?
Yeah, it's about a 5-year plan they have, all the way till 2020, I believe they're projected. 2019, sorry, so yeah, 4 years. Yeah. They have their slate planned for the next 4 years of films, and yeah, overall, this movie looks awesome. I don't know if anyone else noticed it, I'm sure you did, you're smart people, the very slow, creepy, piano-only solo of No Strings on Me from Disney's Pinocchio, which has been kind of a theme with the Age of Ultron trailers of Ultron has no strings on him, is not controlled by anyone, he's his own being. And it seems like they're kind of taking like that kind of Pinocchio self-sentient, should be a lifeless artifact that is alive.
Right.
And thinks for itself.
So instead of like a wooden puppet that wants to be a boy, you got a set in a metal body, that cyborg that wants to be a boy. Sort of thing.
I don't know if he wants to be a boy. I think he wants to be
well,
king.
He's pissed off.
He's pissed, yeah. I mean, it's awesome. James Spader's voice is just so creepy. And
yeah, the voice, in my opinion, has really made that character. I mean, not just the concept,
physical, yeah,
but just the voice too. It's embedded when you hear it.
yeah.
So
It comes off really creepy and and powerful and strong, and it like, if you've seen James Spader in any work, you know he's got many different levels to him. He's funny, he can be sleazy. I mean, he's known very well from his films in the 80s. It's playing that kind of sleazy, kind of a douche character, you know, like Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. Yeah, he's got all that kind of on his resume. So to see him come in now, older, playing a bad guy is a no-brainer, but the way he sends it off is amazing, and I can't wait to see this. I think it could go up there on par. This is simply a thought. There's no truth to it whatsoever. It could go on par with Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker as a defining villain in a film. A great actor defining a villain that will be looked at for years, I hope. I hope it's looked at for years. And one thing I also noticed in this trailer is, one last bit before we move on to the next topic, is the relationship between Hulk and Black Widow. I think they're really kind of taken from, in the first Avenger film, when she met him in India to persuade him to join the team.
Yeah.
They're really building a relationship between them, because you see them together in Avengers Mansion. You see she's the one walking up to the Hulk in the street, trying to, it looks like, soothe him or calm him down, while he's the Hulk. So he's aware of who she is, and she obviously is aware that it's Banner inside there. And is the only person you see him not outright attacking while in that form.
Do you think there'll be some kind of little love dispute between, Hawkeye and all of them?
It would be cool, because one little thing I know Scarlett Johansson had said in Winter Soldier, when she and Captain America are on the run, she's wearing a little necklace that's an arrow that she says was given to her character, Black Widow, by Hawkeye.
Right.
Kind of hinting at the fact that they have or had a romance together, which, if you've read comic books, you know that is there. That's been true in several stories. So to have that, and now to add, like, the third wheel in the Hulk, I think is awesome, because,
I don't think Hawkeye's
two dudes are going to duke it out over her. Who's going to win that fight?
Hawkeye against Hulk. It was like, I don't... Really? Is there a competition?
He's got to be fast.
Well, not just fast, but he's got to have a bunch of trick arrows up his sleeve if that's the case. But
I'm sure he does. He's got many trick arrows. That's part of the bit.
Another thing too, like you said before we move on, how much? Because I know when we were viewing this trailer, it's like you're talking about breaking it down. Like there actually are scenes that maybe kind of elude viewers into a direction of like, what the heck is going on? Like, how is this relevant to the Avengers? And of course, you read the comics, and if you're familiar with the Marvel lineup, I mean, you do know films such as Civil War, Black Panther,
Doctor Strange coming soon.
Well, I don't know how Doctor Strange will be.
I don't know if he'll be hinted at or even talked about in this film. I kind of hope he doesn't. I want this film to focus on what it focuses on.
Right.
But obviously, Marvel is very famous and sometimes infamous for their mid-credit and or after-credit scene of throwing something in there.
True. The reason why I feel like something extra could be hidden in here is because of what are they called? The experiments?
Oh. They don't call them mutants. We can't call them that because they're mutants. That name is owned by Fox. It seems like they're going to go kind of miracles, or they might...
Well, they own mutants plural, right? They can call them mutant, but not mutants plural.
I don't think they can call them mutants at all. Mutant or mutants. It can't be alluded to in any way, shape, or form, I believe, that they are a mutant. So it might be genetically modified, it might be enhanced, it might be, as was said at the end of Winter Soldier, this is the age of miracles. Yeah. There's nothing more dangerous than a miracle. So they might simply, cheesy as it sounds, be called miracle men or miracle people or something. I don't know. Phenomena. Yeah. That's a very good movie.
That is a good movie. But, well, just as we were going in with Doctor Strange and all that, just kind of the fact when you're talking about sorcery, all this stuff, now you're talking about Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. I mean, do you feel like the Avengers? Yes, they're a large enough team. Do you feel like they're going to need that kind of extra, like maybe someone to come in and kind of give them an extra boost or something? Probably like just a little bit of the movie.
I think a little bit. I know one reason they said that they had brought in Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is because everyone is very straightforward as far as the current team. Very much, I'm going to quote Director Whedon on this, everyone has punchy powers.
Punchy powers.
Punchy. Like, it's very physical.
Kapow.
And if you look at Quicksilver, he's all speed. Which, while being a physical attribute, is, it's inhuman, the way he does it.
Right.
Scarlet Witch has a bit of telekinesis. She can get in your mind, she can manipulate and create objects without even physically touching them, just with how powerful she is and what she can do. She can alter your reality, which I think will play, hopefully, a big part in this, of her screwing with the guys and, making them believe one thing when it's actually another, and kind of turning them on each other, I think would really be fun.
And again, just to address both those two characters, they are part of the Hydra fraction. They are not part of the Ultron.
No, because they were created by what was left of Hydra,
right?
As was shown at the end of Winter Soldier. So they kind of experimented on. I think they're kind of being used or thought of as weapons to use against the Avengers, especially since they exposed Hydra under S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you haven't seen Winter Soldier, we are really spoiling that movie for you, so hopefully you watch that movie before you're listening to this podcast.
I was about to say...
I'm very liberal about spoilers. Spoilers don't bother me. If they do bother you, I'm sorry, but go watch some movies.
Yeah, go watch some movies. Don't read a book, kids. Go watch movies. That's your homework.
That's not sound advice. Please read books. Stay in school. Read The Hobbit. Okay. All right, so on to our next topic for the night is Blu-rays. Every Tuesday... you will always see new Blu-rays, DVD announcements released, and they're a lot of fun.
Some of them, not all. In my experience, I've had bad cases. But
you've had bad cases. Well, this should not be a bad case for you, because released yesterday, January 13th, since today's 14th, to record on Wednesdays, is David Fincher's Gone Girl, which is one of my favorite movies of this year that I've seen. It's a very good kind of psychological, manipulative film.
When did it come out?
It came out back in October.
Okay, so it came out last year.
Yeah, it came out last year. It is a contender for the Oscars. It's being looked at possibly for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actress for Rosamund Pike for her portrayal of the titled girl. Mm-hmm. It's a very good film. Very manipulative, very dark humor. If you like dark humor, you'll like this film. It's really good. And if you're a fan of Batman or the DC movie universe right now, Ben Affleck is jacked in this film. He looks so big that he's prepping for Batman while filming Gone Girl. And overall as a film, it's great. It's a really good movie. It holds your attention. It's a lot of fun. It gets a little graphic in language in certain scenes. So, if you have little ones, I suggest to not watch it. Watch it yourselves as the, adults.
First off, it's rated...
It's rated R.
Okay,
with good
so
reason.
Don't stick your little kids in front of the screen and expect...
Unless you grew up like me, where your mom didn't care what you watched because it was culture.
Yeah.
She cared a little bit, but...
They scare the crap out of me with certain movies.
Right. Also coming out this week was the... excuse me. The Liam Neeson-led Walk Among Tombstones. I don't know if you saw that. He's playing like an old kind of retired detective, private eye.
That's right.
Getting drug into like I think like a murder scheme. It's one I missed, unfortunately.
No, yeah, he's
it's based off a book series.
Yeah, based off a book series, and he does like kind of favors now rather than
like straight up work.
Right. So he's like contract, but
it's like a for hire kind of private detective, finish off jobs and whatnot. And it looked really good. Obviously, Liam Neeson has revamped his own career as an action star, which is really cool. Obviously, if you watch his career at all, he did a lot of dramas, a lot of bio films, a lot of historical films. Kind of saw a slump in that, especially after his wife passed, and he kind of jumped into action films, which is good. And now he's jumping into comedies. Obviously, if you saw Many Ways to Die in the West, first, I'm sorry. But one of the best things to me in that film was Liam Neeson kind of playing a straight man in a comedy.
That was, to me, a bit awkward to see that. I mean, yeah, Liam Neeson has kind of created an image to his presence, so it's when you see him in something like that, you're really like expecting,
especially when they pulled down his pants and put a flower in his ass.
That
was weird. That was really weird. Yeah, right. And I know he also is, I believe, cast in the upcoming Ted 2 for Seth MacFarlane. So
I believe so.
That will be fun as well. And if you've seen the Lego Movie, he can, he has fun with it. He can do comedy. going back and forth between good cop and bad cop. Yes, both voices were him, which is hilarious. Because he's not only the voice of bad cop, which is his usual kind of tough guy, Irish, but he's also good cop, which is very kind of happy and, very upbeat. Oh, hey, you want a glass of water? It's really... I couldn't believe it was him. I was shocked. I had to watch the movie again. And if you've ever seen the short-lived HBO show Life's Too Short, there's a great scene on there where he goes to Warwick Davis, who was the star of that show. Unfortunately, it's gone now, which is too bad. He goes to him saying, I want to be a stand-up comedian. And he sits there in the office, straight-faced, telling jokes. And they're terrible jokes, A. But the way he's saying them is so funny. And this man can do comedy, and I can't believe it. He's so good. He needs to do more comedy. Let's just say that. Okay, and the last one I want to talk about really quick is the quote-unquote biofilm, Jimmy, All Is By My Side, which was the approved adaptation biography film on Jimi Hendrix, in which he's played by Andre Benjamin, or Andre 3000 from Outkast, if you know your music. To me, he was perfectly cast as Jimi Hendrix. He looks like him. He's obviously has a music background. Perfect for him. The trouble with this film is that it took so long to be made. It was in very limited release, and unfortunately, I heard it wasn't really as good as it could have been, because the camp that holds the rights to Jimi Hendrix music would not allow them to use it, which is probably the greatest sin, I think, for a biofilm on a musician, is to not let them allow his music to be played. Even if you lip-sync it, like in Ray. Jamie Foxx did not sing any of those songs in Ray. He lip-synced all of Ray Charles' words and singing for that, which I thought was respectful. Obviously, if you saw Walk the Line, Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash sang the songs himself. He learned how to do it. He sang, he learned guitar, he did it himself. So depending on what you do. But again, I think the greatest sin you can do to an artist like that is to not release their work to be used and shown and promoted. Obviously, Jimi Hendrix has a great following, a respected musician, guitarist, and an icon of the 60s. So to do a biofilm on him and not do it what I believe to be justly is just wrong. Tommy, what are your thoughts on music? You're a fairly big music guy.
Yeah, he is. He definitely has that large of a following. And another thing, I'm going to throw it out there because me and you have been having a couple of debates about this, and they've always been quite interesting the way we depict it. But it's called an adaptation, and it is a biofilm.
We have very different views on adaptations.
Yes, but it is one of those films that should be honest to the person that it's perceiving. And the thing is when you songs you could say is a small aspect, but at the other time, the reason why he's got a following and why he's remembered is his songs. You delve a little bit deeper, you're going to know about his character and what he's done, his actions, things like that. But a lot of people are familiar with him because of his music, and if you can't do that in a biofilm, it's like, then what are you going to be showing his character, and then you have someone that kind of looks at Jimi Hendrix like, I don't know how to relate to this person, but it's, I know his music, but this whole story is just quite, surprise and a shock to me. So to me, that's also going to steer away, I think, an audience when they realize it's like, hey, his music's not in there. It was just kind of a snuff film or something. It
kind of turned me away, the fact that they didn't get to use his music, his recordings, because the look of the film, the way it looks, Andre Benjamin in full makeup as Hendrix, perfect.
Right.
It looks perfect. It looks great. He sounds like him, everything like that. But to not have his music in there, it just took away what I thought should be the heart of the film, which is the music, because everyone remembers the music. You have it, Hey Joe, Purple Haze, his cover of Dylan's All Along the Watchtower, obviously the most famous. It destroys it, I think. Foxy Lady, even, if you've seen Wayne's World. Whenever Garth would see that his dream girl, it comes on. Yeah. So even if you didn't know it was Jimi Hendrix, you've heard Jimi Hendrix. So, really quick, we want to address. There is a rumor floating around the internet, social media. Well, it's not a rumor anymore. It's been debunked. So we're here to let you know that Sony and Marvel had reached an agreement with Spider-Man, and we're going to let Spider-Man be in the new Avengers film, Infinity War, Part 1. Which, if you didn't know about that, sorry, yes, they're going to do another Avengers film. Wow, who would have thought that Marvel Studios want to do another Avengers film? After 2,
Right.
everyone. So they were saying that Spider-Man would be allowed to be part of Avengers Infinity War Part 1, because it is being split into 2 films. This is a rumor. It has been debunked by Sony Studios, saying Spider-Man is not going anywhere. He's staying with them.
Right.
So now there is just the smallest flutter of hope in my heart that is Sony simply saying that because they're not ready to announce it yet. I really hope that's the case. If it's not, oh well, we'll let sleeping dogs lie and Spider-Man stays with Sony.
And the other thing, too, is just we don't... The other thing that's supposed to be happening probably later this month is the Spider-Man Summit.
Yeah, the Sony Summit.
And the Sony Summit, yeah. And I mean, obviously when that happens, there's going to be a lot of kind of media and articles coming out about that, but right now all is really is just that rumor. And the other thing is, when it comes to rumors between Marvel, Sony, Spider-Man, the Avengers, like I saw one the other day, it's like Thor and Spider-Man together. In my mind, I already know it's like that's Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures Entertainment. So it's not going to happen. I mean, I actually spent a couple minutes looking that up, trying to see if that was even a comic or anything in existence, but it's not. It's just a fan.
It's like a fan fiction.
It's a fan just trying to get people hyped and kind of get behind it, I guess. But at the same time, remember, it's not a fan that decides how a business is going to run their studio.
Business person.
It's all business. So, and as we addressed like last time, what was it? Resident Evil 6 got delayed.
Yes.
Something we quickly addressed is that Resident Evil, they are very cheap films, but they make money, which is why Paul W.S. Anderson was able to keep making them. I don't know why. I was hoping that the Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson adaptations would be finished this year, but it sounded like it got delayed to 2016, and it's just but what I'm getting at is just, it's one of those things that a studio realizes if it makes money, they're going to keep doing it. Now, that's why this whole thing between Spider-Man, Thor, the Avengers, Marvel Studios, this is why it's become such a fan kind of dispute right now, is because people understand it's like, what happened to the Amazing Spider-Man? Like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't do as good as the Amazing Spider-Man that released before it. So the question is how is the Amazing Spider-Man 3 going to do? Are they going to tone it down? Are they going to make it even... they're going to give it more spunk. It's like... But the amount of finances that Sony has spent on the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did exceed the Amazing Spider-Man. So it's one of those things, does Sony continue that trend, or do they dub it down a little bit? And at the same time, too, when I look at that from a business point, Sony was getting a little cocky. They are trying to be really flashy with their character. I mean, you got, 3 villains. You had Rhino,
Yeah.
you had what's it, Green Goblin?
Yeah, Green Goblin, you had the Rhino, and
Electro Man.
Electro.
Electro
Man.
But Electro.
Is that like Ocean Man?
Electro Man?
Electro.
So it was just one of those things that it did take a lot of money to produce, but it was also one of those things that just
didn't pan out the way they thought.
It didn't pan out the way they thought, even though that Sony's got this this future of like, we want to do Sinister Six, we want to do Venom, we want to do all that. It's like, just pace yourselves. And that's kind of like my thing for fans too, is just, I know you have this sudden urge to say like, oh, there's going to be a crossover between this, and it's definitely a fanboy dream. But those, I'm sorry to say, when you post those dreams on social media or something like that, they get shattered really quick. And it's one of those things when, I mean, even me, myself, I hope to see sometimes rumors to be actually true. And
occasionally they are.
On a rare occasion, but
that's
not...
why I say occasionally.
Yeah, you did.
Well, the hard thing for me when it comes to fan rumors and posters and tidbits and little announcements is that this is the downside of technology to me. Mm-hmm. We have so much access to stuff now, that we can make it look just as good, just as real, just as idealized as a studio would. And it can simply be a fan piece of fiction or a piece of work, and people buy it, that it's true, that it's real, and they don't realize that unless it's coming from the studio. Yes, I can put a studio logo on my fanfic poster or whatnot, but until I hear that announced by the studio itself, by Disney, by Sony, by the director, by Kevin Feige, the producer, by the actor, be it Andrew Garfield, be it Robert Downey Jr. or whoever, I don't believe it until I hear it from what I believe to be the most credible source, which is the people directly working on that film.
And that's the key right there, is definitely get a source. When I check into films or even popular, like current topics or anything like that, I do a bit, it's funny because I know social media, some people, they come across titles of articles and they make their assumption right then and there. And that's how kind of these rumors get a trend of like, okay, let's follow what this guy's saying. This guy said it and this guy said it, so let's keep going with it. No, read the article, and if you feel that the article is incomplete or whatever, read another article, because you need to tell you the truth, you need like two sources to back up your words, at least two. Yeah. I all the time use Google to research stuff, and I go through at least 4 or 5 sources, like Hollywood Reporter, and Comic Resources, even Dark Horizons. There's a couple things I go through to confirm, because each website's going to say something different. And what it is basically someone's taking one tidbit and they're one part of the wording that maybe a website uses, and they use it out of context. And then what happens is that you get a trend of people going, and then it becomes to a fan-based dream, that what happens is that it gets shattered in moments' time.
And people just take it and run with it without really checking it. And that's what drives me nuts is, I would love to see Spider-Man in there just as much as the next person. But I'm not just going to take my little dream and run with it because I want it to happen. Obviously, I'm not smart enough to run the studio to make it happen, so I'm going to let the people who run the studio make those decisions.
Exactly. And, Marvel has done a fantastic job with Phase 1, Phase 2, the Avengers universe. Yeah. Even without having Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, or the X-Men. Like we were talking about, the X-Men universe is so large that Fox they kind of got lucky on that one.
And I know people, just kind of end it, I know people talk about, well, they should listen to the fans and what the fan wants. The fans don't know what they want.
Yeah.
They want it all. They want everything in a kite. Okay? Right. They want it all. They want too much. And while I can, in my passion of it, yes, I want it all too. I want them all together in one cohesive universe and just see them crossing left and right of each other. But at the same time, from a business standpoint, it's too much. It's going to cost too much. It's going to create too many problems for scripting, for who gets the screen time, who gets that amount of screen time, what about this, certain character contracts, scheduling, it becomes too much.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate truth is it is better, at least right now, that they are all in separate studios, separate universes.
Yeah, that is.
So that's the sad truth of it. But ultimately it is the right truth, at least for now.
It's just people want the consistency of the books to meet the cinematic universe.
Yeah,
and
that's not going to happen.
We understand that. Slowly but surely it may happen. Again, we were mentioning earlier, it's like Marvel and Sony, they're supposed to have the Sony Summit, Spider-Man Summit that's coming up later this month, which is why, again, this rumor was debunked, because nothing was announced, nothing was confirmed.
Yeah.
So, again, it was a rumor, it was debunked. Yeah.
But if you do like direct adaptations, DC does very good work in their animated films of directly adapting their comics to film. Mind you, it's animated. Nothing wrong with that. I like animated films just as much as the next guy. But it is fairly faithful adaptations. If you watched Batman The Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One, are very faithful to the adaptations from book to film. They're very good. So if you're really hankering for a direct adaptation, go to that. And always the obvious go-to, which most people kind of forget about, is Sin City. Sin City is still the most direct adaptation of a comic book to film you will ever see. So, there you go. All right.
Indeed.
Our last topic for the night will be Oscars. Tomorrow, January 15th, they're announcing, nice and bright and early in the morning when the sun crests, the Oscar nominations for this year. I'm very excited for this. I cannot wait. Oscar season to me is like Super Bowl to most everyone else. I watch Super Bowl, yes. But I watch for the commercials and the new movie trailers that are coming out. Exactly. That's the main reason I watch it. Once I saw the Winter Soldier trailer last year, I was like, okay, I can go home.
Speaking of movie trailers, what movie? I mean, not to. Well, maybe we can address that later. Maybe. What movie trailers would come out during the Super Bowl?
What? Okay. Oh, damn. Yeah, we'll address that on a later show. What movie trailers do we think will be during the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
that'll be definitely be a fun show.
Review the movies and see which ones make the cut.
Absolutely. Okay, but again, back to Oscars. The Oscar nominations will be announced tomorrow morning, I believe 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you are in Eastern Time Zone, you'll be awake. I'll still probably be asleep. I'm going to try to get up for it, but I make no guarantee. I do have an early morning job as well. I wish this was my only life, but it's not. With that being said, the big one for me is Best Picture and Best Actor. Really the big, mainly Best Picture for me, because you got a lot of great films out right now. You have The Theory of Everything, you have Imitation Game, you have Foxcatcher, you have Gone Girl, you have Whiplash, Boyhood. That right there's like, what, 7 or 8 films.
That and the Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, Grand Budapest
Hotel took a lot of awards at the, what was it, Academy?
The Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
Yeah, if you watch the Golden Globes, that's cool. They really don't mean much. But everyone's hammered during that show, which is fine.
It's the other thing too with, I mean, Academy, any award show in general. You're always going to find yourself yelling at the screen. Oh my gosh, this one should have won.
The accredited, like the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild. Mm-hmm. Most other award shows, I really don't pay attention to aside from the Oscars. Yeah. I used to pay attention to the Golden Globes, and then I graduated high school and learned the truth. So.
Maybe you can shed some light on this, the difference between the Golden Globes and the Oscars.
Well, the Golden Globes is more voted on kind of like by the peers.
Okay.
The Oscars is done by an academy. I believe it's about like 100 and some odd members are all kind of given their stuff. They're given the films to watch, what's being looked at, what categories it's up for. And they cast their votes, obviously. Now, certain times this doesn't work out. There was a big, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Shoot, I can't remember the word. Issue. I guess I'm going to go with the word issue for now. Where last year, 2 people who had voted for 12 Years a Slave, which won a Best Picture last year, people who had voted for it had openly said that they actually had not watched the film before voting for it. But they felt it was, socially conscious and whatnot, and they voted for it anyway. Just kind of blend in. And obviously it won Best Picture. Deservedly so. It's a very good film. It's kind of like Schindler's List. I can only watch it once, and I'm good. But to openly admit that, okay, cool. I respect the honesty. Don't vote for a movie if you're not going to watch it.
Right.
I mean, I can list you all the movies that I think will be nominated. Have I seen them all? No. I'll be honest with you and say I have not been able to see all the films that I believe are going to end up in the Oscar watch.
Hopefully the Movie Pass changes that for me, because I really do want to catch. There's a lot of movies, like you even mentioned, Foxcatcher, all that stuff. It's like I really wanted to go and see those. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'll be honest myself, like just movie ticket prices have gotten so absurd to the point where it becomes a debate. Do I even want to go to the movies anymore? And as we mentioned in our previous podcast, it's like 2014 was a 2-decade low of moviegoer attendance. So hopefully the Movie Pass, it is rumored AMC is trying it out, but you could actually go see unlimited movies every month for a fixed price.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I would do nothing else in my time except be in a movie theater watching movies, either ones that I love or new ones that I need to pay attention to look for. Obviously, come Oscar season, it becomes a big deal. My front runners for this year are Foxcatcher, Gone Girl, Grand Budapest Hotel, and I will say Boyhood simply because of what it achieved on a technical standpoint of film being shot over a 12-year period. That is amazing, and hats off to Richard Linklater for having the brass to do that. It was amazing. Overall, as a film, if I had to pick one, I would probably pick Gone Girl. Gone Girl to me was the most intriguing, the most kind of almost like a cat and mouse, very I don't know which direction it's going to go type of film that kept me interested. So that'd be my pick. Tommy, if you had to pick one out of a hat, which one would you kind of go for?
To me, now I will be honest, I haven't seen probably any of these movies that are going to be going. However, I do hear a lot of people talk about The Imitation Game, and it was one of the stories I am pretty curious about. When it comes to, I'll just say in particular how I haven't seen these movies yet, is when it comes to dramas, sometime I have this anticipation, it's like these are going to drag out, and I've seen a couple of them before where they do drag out, and it loses my attention, I lose focus, and then when I try to regrasp a story, it's already kind of too late. So that's like kind of the reason why I haven't seen some of these. But Foxcatcher was one of those ones that Foxcatcher and Imitation Game both were stories that I were pretty interested, and the performances, like even Steve Carell was like,
Steve Carell is Jean Foxcatcher. Yeah, it's brilliant performance, and I'm really gunning that he wins Best Actor for that performance because it was truly transformative role for him, especially based on his background in comedy. A lot of comedies, a few dramas here and there, or family films.
That's just going into another thing too. Yeah. I mean, you look like when you look at Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's portrayed so many characters, and when he plays a phenomenal role, I don't know, does he even get nominated? Or
he gets nominated. He's been. Actually, no, he doesn't. I take that back. I think the first nomination he got for Best Actor was, shockingly to a lot of people, Pirates of the Caribbean. In 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, I believe was his first actual Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. I think you'd think with his career and how various it has been with films like Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, even Finding Neverland, which is a beautiful movie, you would expect him to have more nominations under his belt, but he doesn't, and it's sad. And now looking at his current career, you kind of understand why.
Yeah, but you're talking about his current career. When you're talking about back then, you get the recognition when you deserve it. Yeah. And that's why when I was talking earlier about award shows, Academy, Golden Globes, all that stuff, just some of the awards, some of the forerunners that end up taking the awards away, I can't agree with, because I've actually seen both of those films. I mean, there's actually an instance where I think one was, can't remember, was it Mystic River with Sean Penn?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw that. Who was he going up against that one year?
I honestly could not tell you.
I remember he went up against someone, but it was between that and someone else that had a phenomenal performance. And, I mean, Sean Penn took it away. Sean Penn, don't get me wrong, great actor. That's not what I'm arguing. Mm-hmm. I'm arguing the recognition when you deserve it. And, you can be given a good script, but if you're not a phenomenal actor, it's going to portray on camera. Yeah. So it's one of those things that you don't just say, "Oh yeah, I had a phenomenal performance because the screenwriters and the director actually helped me out." No, an actor does that on their own, and that's the recognition that they are getting at when they get these awards. And I feel like sometimes in general these award shows are just not honest. They are kind of like they're playing favors. Yeah. The favor game. And like you said, there's two people that openly admitted they have not seen 12 Years a Slave. Yeah. Even though they voted for it. They casted a vote for it. It's like just
I don't care about your social relevance. I want you to see the film. Especially if you know it has the backing behind it, the hype behind it. See it. Right. Come on, just see it.
As far as going back to which you were asking, what best picture? Mm-hmm. All right, to me, I'd say I really was looking at The Imitation Game. Grand Budapest Hotel took it from was it Golden?
For best comedy or musical, yes, Grand Budapest Hotel.
No, but did they take best picture?
In the category of comedy or musical, yes.
Oh, okay. But to me, I look at either Foxcatcher because the other thing too, usually films that do win And I say usually because there is one year that a film kind of nobody really expected would win, and it did. But to me, it's going to be between Foxcatcher and The Imitation Game. The Theory of Everything looks, I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great. It looks really basic. And don't get me wrong, it's like we all know Stephen Hawking's, some of his story, and all that, but it's just, to me, Foxcatcher has one of those stories with appeal, and same with Imitation Game. It's one of those stories with appeal that's actually going to pull an audience who will see it and actually want to, basket it.
Yeah.
So, actually, also, just to add with that, going back to earlier what I said, there was one film that kind of surprised, because usually films are based on real life incidents, or
some of them.
You talk like but Return of the King.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
2003. 2000 was it 2003?
2003, yes.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's been that long. Damn.
All right, so, but yeah, that's my prediction. So it'll be between The Imitation Game and Foxcatcher.
Nice. Well, we'll get to find out on Oscar night. We'll come tomorrow morning again, January 15th. They are announcing the Oscars. Be up, be watching. I'm excited. I can't wait. We are hoping, I say hoping because we have no set schedule for the show, to be doing a live Oscar broadcast for you at that time. So please stick around. Thank you for listening to us. If you like this video, please subscribe to our plays. Please hit that like button at the bottom. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Vince Munn, your host on CineMunn Podcast, joined again with Time Metropolis.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening.